You know, my mentor, Mike Austin, continues to be proven right by modern day biomechanists studying the golf swing and all the different torques and forces and hand paths that they tend to study right now. When it comes to the release of the club head, it's certainly something that Mike has been proven right about, and he's been talking about that for 60, 70, almost 80 years. He's been preaching a little bit different style of release. So right after this, let's get into one of Mike's kind of secret release ideas that's going to give you a lot more distance for basically no effort at all. And just keep watching. So one of the swing concepts that Mike Austin is known for, and quite frankly he was often ridiculed for, was the idea of throwing the club or starting the release from the top of the swing down. He said that we would give the club a throw, and then by the time it reached impact, it was actually the wrists and all the muscles were relaxed. So he said that the guy who hits the ball the farthest is the guy that could go from contraction here to relaxation at the bottom of the swing the most abruptly. As it turns out, Mike was right about that. Not only where we start the throw, start applying torque to the grip to uncock the wrists, but also that the club is approaching a kind of a freewheeling state, a state of relaxation where the club is no longer being assisted by the uncocking of the wrists, but it's tending to kind of fly free in space around your grip on the handle. That's the only thing that's keeping it from actually flying out into space. Now I've got the graph, the torque graph of a major champion up here on the screen, and you can see it exactly fits what Mike was saying, that the burst of torque, and it's a burst of torque that starts here, and you can see at the end of the graph as you get to impact that the torque is diving down to zero very precipitously. It is near zero by the time that we get through the ball. Now, if you are doing this correctly, it means that you're getting the hell out of the way of the club. You're giving it the initial burst, and then you're allowing the club to freewheel, relax through impact. An exercise to feel that would be this left-hand exercise I like to do, which is draw it back about halfway, 3/4 of the way. I'm going to give just a little toe step like this, and I'm going to allow the club to go wherever it wants. So I'm going to give it a little toss back here, and you'll see where this club wants to go if I get out of its way. So here are some of the people that you might see in slow-mo are doing that. That I needed to exert a force in the opposite direction in order to maintain the club and shaft, the arm and shaft line in a straight line. Well, you can see I'm approaching 90 degrees, rehinging quite abruptly. Little toss. If you can do this, you can really start feeling the idea of the Austin release, how he relaxed at the bottom and he really let the club freewheel. He got out of the way, and that means the club is now seeking, it would fly out into space except your arm is still attached to it, but that club is really seeking to spin now that you've given it some torque to spin around this circular path. It wants to keep spinning unless, of course, you get in its way by applying an impeding force. So if there is no impeding force in the way, it would look like that. And you'll see that I'm arriving at a 90-degree rehinge very quickly. Once you can do it with one hand, then you can do it with two. Like this. Now looking at that in slow-mo, you can see how rapidly the wrists are being allowed to rehinge after impact. And again, this is because I simply haven't stepped on the brake pedal. Even a lot of golfers on TV, they're stepping on the brake pedal for no good reason at all and impeding the progress of the club head after impact. Now all this can do is slow the club head down before it gets to impact in the anticipation of that braking mechanism on the follow through. But if you can get the club to freewheel truly through the impact zone and get the heck out of its way, you're going to find that you're swinging the club faster and faster and faster, and yet your effort will seem to go down, down, down. In fact, you're going to feel quite relaxed through the impact zone. So just to summarize, it is a quick burst here. Then the burst is over. You no longer attempt to add anything to it on the way down. You just burst and freewheel. Now you'll notice that I don't quite achieve the same angle as I could do in the practice swings. Why is that? Well, the conditions are different. You see, I've got this ball in the way that impedes the club head. The club head slows down about 30% or so because it imparts its energy onto the ball at impact. And so you don't quite see the same freedom through space because the ball should be the only thing that impedes the club head, but not your own force. I think this idea might help some of you out there get a ton more distance. If so, I hope you leave it in the comments. Hey, I'm Steve. Thanks so much for watching. And as usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.